Hi, what are we gonna make tonight? Chicken soup, that's right. Hi, John here. So what I'm gonna share with you tonight is a recipe that we've had in the family for years. Everyone loves it. It's a chicken and vegetable soup. No grains, no rice, no potatoes, anything like that. Here is a chicken. This is the foundation of the meal. It's a whole chicken. We will fry that, roast that in the oven, rather. In the bag there are the lovely gizzards. Here are the vegetables we're going to use. Basically, you just use whatever's in your refrigerator. Here we have some celery, kale, carrots, bell pepper, zucchini, broccoli, onion, garlic. This will be most of the broth. This is some homemade bone stock. Everyone should have some of that in their freezer for soups. And then some simple seasonings, salt and pepper, my favorite brand of coconut oil, and of course Kerrygold butter. The utensils, the pot, and the oven, which we will preheat now to a nice 375 degrees. The main thing you want to pay attention to in making this soup is adding the vegetables at a certain time, because you want them not to be too hard, not to be too soft, but just right. So I will show you how to prepare each vegetable and when to add the vegetable, so that way when your soup is finished, everything has a nice texture. So step one in the preparation is getting your chicken ready. While the chicken cooks, you can cut up the rest of your vegetables and get everything else prepared, because the chicken takes about an hour to cook. It's a 4-pound chicken, so roughly an hour to cook. And then you'll be brushing it in between every 15 minutes or so, and at the end a final brush, and then you let it rest for about 15 to 20 minutes, so that way it can finish the cooking process and then it can cool off a little bit, so when you want to add the chicken to the soup, it'll be cool enough for you to basically pick all the meat off of the carcass. So basically what I did is I just seasoned it with some salt and pepper and put some butter on there. Any of the juices that come off in the pan are going to wind up going in the soup and serve as part of the broth. So on to the next step. Okay, so now the preparation is done. The onions are chopped, the bell pepper and celery are cut up, and the carrots are cut up. And here in the big bowl we have the zucchini, the broccoli, and the kale. So the onions are going to be added first to the pot that already contains about 1.5 tablespoons or so of coconut oil. So we're going to go ahead and saute that for a few minutes until the onions get soft. And then after the onions are soft, we are going to add the melted bone broth. We are going to bring to a boil, and then we are going to set it at a simmer. Add the celery, the bell pepper, let that cook for about 10 minutes, and then 10 minutes later we will add the carrots, and then at the very end when we're all done, we will add the vegetables. So we just added the broth and the water. We added 4 cups of water plus the bone broth that we defrosted in the pot. We're going to bring that to a boil. As you can see, I increased the flame to a high heat, and after it comes to a boil, I'm going to add my peppers and celery, cook for 10 minutes, and then I'm going to add my carrots, cook for another 10 minutes, and then add my kale, zucchini, broccoli mixture, and then turn off the flame. And then these vegetables will get cooked just from the heat of the liquid itself. Okay, now our broth and onions are boiling, so let's reduce this to a low flame, and let's add the bell pepper and celery. I want to make sure we get every last piece of pepper and celery in there. Okay, and give that a good stir. Okay. So now we'll set a timer for roughly 10 minutes, and then we will add the carrots. And make sure that you continuously brush your chicken every 15 minutes or so, and then after an hour you take the chicken out. Hopefully the soup and the chicken will be done roughly at the same time, so that way you'll be able to add the chicken in as soon as the soup is finished. So now it's time to add the carrots. The 10 minutes is about up. So let's put our carrots into the mixture and set another timer for about 10 minutes. And our chicken is done with its time in the oven now. So now we will take that out and set it aside to cool. So, take our chicken. And you notice it has a nice golden brown color, indicative that it is finished. And as I mentioned earlier, we use all the juices from cooking the chicken and add it to the soup that will serve as part of the broth. So if you don't feel confident doing this, I recommend waiting until things cool down and then move the chicken, but I've done this enough times. I'm just going to add all the juices from cooking the chicken to the broth, save a little bit of it so that we can brush the chicken once more, and then we'll cover it and let it cool for about 15 minutes. So we will take our silicone brush and finish brushing the chicken. And then we'll let it rest for about 15 to 20 minutes. It'll stay hot for quite a while, so there's really no rush to get back to the chicken if our soup is not ready yet. Okay, now it's time to add the last of the vegetables, the zucchini, the broccoli, and the kale. So we simply add this to the mixture. Don't splash any hot juices on yourself, but add it to your soup. Make sure you get everything submerged underneath the surface of the liquid. Stir it around a bit and leave the flame on for maybe a couple minutes. And while that's going on, you can start to peel apart your chicken. So now the chicken is probably still pretty hot, but probably not so hot that we can't touch it. So I don't really like to add the leg meat or the chicken wing meat because I think those taste so delicious that you should just eat those right away, and then use the back and the breast for the meat that goes in the soup. So right now I am going to cut off the legs and the wings, and we will eat those now, and then we'll add the rest of the meat on the carcass to the soup. Okay, before we forget, the precious gizzards have not yet been added, so we also add those at the end because they cook very quickly, and with the flame still on, they'll cook in just a couple of minutes. So let's add the gizzards. Get those in there, and those I like to eat right after the soup is finished, just because that's the way I like to do it. Okay, so now that our vegetables are done, our chicken is done, and I just spent the last few minutes scraping off every last morsel of meat. As you can see, there's probably maybe 1.5 pounds of meat there. The carcass is here, and the chicken skins are here. I'm going to show you what to do with the chicken skins afterwards. So all we do is we add the warm chicken to the hot soup. It'll heat up. The chicken will heat up really quickly, and the soup is essentially ready to be eaten. All we need to do is add our salt and pepper now at the very end, and that's something that you're just going to have to play with a little bit and see how you like it. So it's very easy to screw up with salt. You can definitely over salt your soup. That's why I like to do it at the end, and you just add and add until it gets just right. So I'm stirring my chicken in now, just sort of get a taste. Actually, can you come over here and just get a look at the soup and see what it looks like? So this is what your soup will look like, very thick, not too much excess liquid, lots of vegetables and lots of chicken, so it's a pretty hearty meal. Even if you are a carb lover, you will definitely get full off of a bowl of this. So let's have a taste. Okay, now we definitely need to add our salt. Most likely 1.5 tablespoons will do it, but like I said before, we just want to add based on taste. So salt dissolves very quickly, so we'll be able to get a feel for how it's going to taste very easily. So let's see here. Perfect. And then add the pepper. This is another personal preference. I like to add the pepper in at the end. I like to be very liberal with it. I also like to go very fine grain with it, so you don't get any large chunks of pepper in there. Okay. So basically the soup is done now. It's ready to be served. And it's still pretty hot, so what I like to do, okay, so seasoning is essentially done, soup is done, is with all of the skin from the carcass, we like to fry it in the pan. So take all the skin, try to get it off in one piece if you can, if not, a couple pieces is fine, and then you fry it up, and you make what my daughter calls chicken bacon. If you fry it on a low flame for long enough, the skin will turn into a crispy, almost chip-like, almost like a pork rind, but it's chicken skin. So this is just how to get the most out of your chicken, in my opinion. So, I almost forgot. The most important ingredient, maybe not the most important, but very important, is the garlic. So the garlic I also like to add at the very end, so all the flavor doesn't get cooked out. So using your garlic press, take each piece of garlic and squeeze the juices in there, and then take your knife and then cut the garlic off, and then keep adding your garlic until it's all gone. I used about 4 cloves, but you can use as much or as little or none if you don't like it. But squeeze it all out there, cut it off, and add the rest of it. And then we stir it in, and now our soup is ready to be consumed. What's really nice about the soup is that it combines all of the essential macronutrients. You get enough carbs, you get enough protein, and you get a lot of high quality fat. In addition, when you make a large batch of something, you have food for days, and you can even freeze some of it and bring it out as you need it. And chicken bacon will be ready in a little bit. We'll be back for that. Okay, so now that the soup and our chicken skin, fried chicken skins are done, I am going to put some of this in the bowl so you guys can see what it looks like when we're all finished. So there's 2 ladles full, and then we'll put a little bit more juice on top. So it's a very nice mixture of vegetables and protein. So as like I said before, you get a good macronutrient ratio and a ton of micronutrients, obviously, with all those vegetables. So here we have our chicken skins. It's basically like little chips. Crunchy, delicious. So this is the recipe. I hope the video wasn't too confusing. I will be posting the full recipe at the end of the video in case you guys missed any of it. So thanks for watching. We wish all of you happiness and wellness, and we'll see you this time next year maybe. Hopefully. Definitely. Bye.